Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CISO Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CISO Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. Defining roles and responsibilities in an information security program serves a foundational purpose. It is not just about assigning tasks. It is about establishing true accountability across every part of the security landscape. When every person involved in the security function knows exactly what they are responsible for, the program becomes more efficient, more reliable, and easier to audit. Aligning these responsibilities with the organization's structure and strategy ensures that security actions support larger business goals, not just technical outcomes. When roles are clear, governance processes run more smoothly, risk management becomes more focused, and compliance obligations are handled with consistency. A well-structured set of roles also supports efficient incident response and escalation. When an event occurs, knowing who is responsible for detection, who leads the response, and who communicates with leadership can make the difference between minor disruption and major breach. Most importantly, clarity of roles reduces ambiguity and authority. Decision-making happens faster and with greater confidence when everyone knows the scope of their responsibilities and the boundaries of their authority. The Chief Information Security Officer is the central figure in most organizational security structures. This role is responsible for the strategic leadership of the organization's entire security posture. That means defining long-term objectives, making decisions that align with business risk appetite, and setting the tone for security culture across departments. The CISO acts as a primary point of contact between the security team and senior leadership. They interface regularly with the board of directors, executive committees, and regulatory bodies. These interactions involve translating technical risks into business language, justifying budget requests, and demonstrating the organization's commitment to security and compliance. The CISO also owns the governance framework that supports policy development, risk assessments, and the implementation of security controls. Their responsibilities extend to building the security budget, staffing the right expertise, and managing the performance of security initiatives. In the event of a breach or major incident, the CISO leads at the executive level, coordinating internal and external communications, guiding response actions, and ensuring regulatory obligations are met quickly and correctly. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Beyond the CISO, other senior executives also hold critical roles in the security structure. The board of directors carries ultimate oversight responsibility. They must ensure the organization's cybersecurity risk is managed appropriately and that leadership is accountable for outcomes. While they do not make day-to-day decisions, they review reports, evaluate risk trends, and assess whether the security function is meeting its objectives. Chief Executive Officer and Chief Financial Officer have their own roles. The CEO integrates security into overall enterprise strategy, ensuring that business initiatives do not outpace risk tolerance. The CFO is essential in aligning security efforts with financial planning, helping evaluate the return on investment of major security projects. The Chief Information Officer is a natural partner for the CISO. While the CIO owns infrastructure and IT operations, their decisions on systems and architecture affect every part of the security environment. The Chief Risk Officer also plays a vital role, particularly in organizations with complex regulatory requirements. Their collaboration with the CISO ensures that security risks are considered as part of the broader enterprise risk management framework. Legal counsel rounds out the senior roles by helping ensure compliance with laws, regulations, and contractual obligations. They also prepare and review breach response plans, support litigation if needed, and help manage the legal exposure following an incident. Within the operational tier of security, roles are more technical, but equally important. The Security Operations Center includes analysts who monitor alerts, triage incidents, and escalate threats as needed. SOC managers oversee daily operations, ensure procedures are followed, and coordinate across shifts. Personnel focused on threat intelligence gather information on adversaries, tactics, and emerging vulnerabilities. This intelligence supports proactive defenses and informs strategy. Threat hunting is a related function in which skilled analysts actively search for hidden threats already inside the environment. Security engineers design the architecture of secure systems. They evaluate new technologies, configure tools, and ensure that safeguards are effectively implemented. Increasingly, development and security functions are integrated. Key political professionals work with developers to embed security controls into software pipelines, ensuring security is considered at every stage of the development lifecycle. These roles all contribute to maintaining and improving the organization's logging, alerting, and escalation workflows, key pillars in any effective detection and response strategy. Risk management and compliance functions depend on their own distinct roles. Information risk analysts are responsible for identifying risks that could impact the organization's operations, data, or reputation. They assess the likelihood and potential impact of these risks, prioritize them, and work with stakeholders to select appropriate mitigation strategies. Compliance managers monitor how the organization meets external requirements. From industry regulations to national laws, they develop compliance plans, maintain documentation, and prepare for audits. GRC analysts focus on governance, risk, and compliance holistically. They track control implementation, support audit response, and manage policy exceptions. Internal audit adds a layer of independent oversight. Audit professionals assess whether security practices are working, identify gaps, and recommend improvements. The privacy officer has a different but related role. They ensure that personal data is handled lawfully and ethically, especially in industries like healthcare or finance. Privacy officers manage consent, data subject rights, and cross-vendor data transfer risks, often working closely with legal and compliance teams. Identity and access management is another area with defined responsibilities. IAM administrators configure systems that control who can access what and under what conditions. These administrators enforce password policies, manage authentication mechanisms, and oversee user provisioning and deprovisioning. Role-based access control stewards help define what permissions are needed for specific job roles. They review requests for new access and evaluate whether proposed entitlements align with those roles. Custodians of privileged access management focus on high-risk accounts, such as system administrators or database owners. These roles require tighter controls, including session monitoring and stricter approval workflows. Directory service administrators oversee platforms like Active Directory, which form the foundation of most enterprise identity systems. These administrators ensure that user groups, permissions, and trust relationships are structured correctly and updated regularly. Across all these roles, there is a shared responsibility to enforce separation of duties and conduct routine access reviews. This helps reduce the risk of insider threats and supports audit readiness. Organizations often work with vendors and third parties, which introduces new rules for managing external relationships. Vendor risk managers conduct due diligence on third parties before contracts are signed. They assess whether a vendor meets security standards and can be trusted to handle sensitive data or services. Once a vendor is selected, contract managers ensure that security expectations are written into service-level agreements. These SLAs may include availability guarantees, incident response timelines, or data protection requirements. Procurement officers are involved in the vendor selection process, evaluating options not only on price and function, but also on security posture. Relationship managers handle ongoing communications with vendors, track their performance, and ensure they meet agreed-upon standards. Legal and privacy leads review contracts and vendor practices to identify risks related to data sovereignty, jurisdiction, and regulatory exposure. These reviews are especially important when data crosses borders or is shared with vendors that have access to customer information. Security is not limited to dedicated personnel, it extends to all employees. Line managers and business units are responsible for enforcing security policies locally. They ensure that staff complete training, follow procedures, and escalate issues. General employees are stakeholders in the security process. They must be aware of how their actions affect data protection and system integrity. Security champions or advocates are employees who act as local liaisons between security and the business. They promote awareness, share updates, and reinforce security culture within their teams. All employees are responsible for reporting suspicious activity or potential incidents. This early warning function is essential. as many breaches begin with simple human errors. Participating in training programs and complying with awareness campaigns are basic expectations for all users. Without this layer of involvement, even the best designed security systems can fail. To manage all these responsibilities, organizations need strong documentation. A RACI matrix is a tool that defines who is responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed for every task or control. This matrix prevents confusion by clearly identifying owners. Roles should also be documented in job descriptions, governance charters, and operating procedures. This helps ensure that expectations are understood and can be evaluated. Role overlap can be dangerous. If multiple people believe they own a task, or if no one does, important controls may be ignored. Avoiding these gaps is essential to reducing risk. Every control in the organization should be linked to a specific owner who is responsible for its operation and audit readiness. Governance committees, such as risk councils or policy boards, should review role definitions periodically. This ensures that as the organization evolves, roles evolve with it. Clear documentation supports compliance, reduces errors, and strengthens overall program maturity. The CISO exam places significant focus on understanding roles and responsibilities. Candidates will face scenarios that test whether they can assign tasks correctly, identify gaps in accountability, or resolve conflicts in authority. A common pattern involves role misalignment, where the wrong person is proposed to make a key decision. Recognizing that the board sets strategy, that the CISO leads policy, and that the SOC responds to incidents is essential for selecting the correct answer. Another frequent theme is cross-domain coordination. Questions may span governance, risk, and operations, requiring candidates to understand how different roles interact. Terminology matters. Understanding terms like ownership, accountability, oversight, and authority helps interpret complex scenarios. Candidates must show that they understand not only who does what, but why it matters. This knowledge helps them succeed on the exam and prepares them to function effectively in executive roles. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cyber Cycle CISO Prepcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com.